another bruising European night has come and gone for Rangers, and losing away to Porto only adds more weight to what has been, without exaggeration, a deeply frustrating Europa League campaign. There is no escaping that reality, and there is no point pretending otherwise. The performances, the results, the missed opportunities, everything has combined to leave supporters feeling flat, angry at times, and searching for answers. But what has to be said, clearly and calmly, is that this situation did not appear overnight, and it cannot simply be pinned on the shoulders of the current coaching staff. The damage was done earlier through decisions that were allowed to linger for too long, when it was obvious to many that change was needed and momentum was slipping away. If that change had come sooner, if decisive action had been taken when warning signs were already flashing, this European journey might have looked very different. Instead, Rangers found themselves trying to steady a ship that was already taking on water. That does not excuse the results, but it does explain them. And while the noise from across the city has been loud, with certain voices claiming they are now carrying Scotland on their backs in Europe, that narrative simply does not stand up to scrutiny. Their own performances have been poor, their football uninspiring, and if history is any guide, they will do little more than embarrass the country when the pressure truly arrives. Rangers fans do not need lectures from anyone about standards or representation. What also gets lost in the emotion of the present is context. Just last season, Rangers navigated one of the toughest European groups imaginable and still emerged among the top sides, showing resilience, tactical discipline, and a genuine sense of belief that did not happen by accident. And it proves that the club, when properly aligned, can compete at a serious level on the continental stage. This season has been a step backwards, no doubt, but it should not erase what this squad and this club are capable of when the foundations are right. Progress in football is rarely linear, and sometimes setbacks expose exactly what needs fixing. As for the match itself, it is important not to distort reality. Porto are an outstanding side at this moment in time. They are leading their domestic league, playing with confidence, cohesion, and real quality across the pitch. They are ahead of fierce rivals who themselves are unbeaten since a high-profile managerial change, which tells you everything about the level Porto are operating at. This was not a case of Rangers losing to an average opponent. This was a clash with a team that is well-drilled, ruthless when chances appear, and comfortable in the European spotlight. There is no shame in acknowledging that gap, as long as lessons are learned from it. Where frustration truly sharpens, though, is in the attacking areas. It has become painfully obvious that Rangers need a striker, someone who can shoulder responsibility, convert pressure into goals, and change the direction of tight matches. Too often this season, promising build-up play has led to nothing because there is no consistent focal point in front of goal. That issue is now front and center, and it explains why the transfer market has become such a hot topic among supporters. January windows are never easy, but Rangers are clearly pushing, and that alone shows intent. The situation surrounding Ryan Adair perfectly captures both the ambition and the irritation of this window. Rangers have gone back with an improved offer, structured with guaranteed money, achievable bonuses, and even a future sell-on element. From the Rangers' perspective, that is a serious proposal, one that reflects belief in the player while also respecting financial reality. Yet the repeated rejections have sparked understandable anger. The player himself is reportedly open to the move, willing to commit his future to Glasgow, while even remaining where he is for the remainder of the season if that helps facilitate the deal. That level of commitment from a young player should count for something. What supporters struggle with is the lack of clarity. Holding players in limbo helps no one. If a club has a valuation, it should be stated clearly. That way, Rangers can decide whether to meet it or walk away, and the player can understand where he stands. Keeping everyone guessing only breeds resentment. This is a massive opportunity for a young forward to test himself at a club with expectations, pressure, and the chance to compete for honours. Rangers are not asking for favours, only transparency. The longer this drags on, the more it feels like a standoff rather than a negotiation. Because of that uncertainty, Rangers have understandably begun to look elsewhere, and attention has increasingly turned towards Joel Pirro. His name has hovered around Ibrox throughout the window, and as the deadline edges closer, the links have only intensified. Rangers' interest has never fully gone away, even as other clubs briefly circled and then stepped back. The complexity here lies not just in the player's situation, but in the unusual relationship between the clubs involved, which adds layers to every conversation and every rumour. Pirro's own stance makes the story even more compelling. Despite limited minutes at the highest level this season, he has not been agitating for a move. He believes in his ability, trusts that opportunities can come quickly, and understands how fragile pecking orders can be in a long, demanding campaign. His appearances have largely come from the bench, with very few starts and limited total minutes, numbers that naturally invite speculation about his future. For many observers, a move away seems logical, even beneficial for all sides involved. Yet footballers are not always guided by logic alone. Confidence, ambition, and patience all play a role. Pirro knows that one injury ahead of him could change everything, suddenly thrusting him into a prominent role. That belief is admirable, but it also creates tension as the window closes. For Rangers, the appeal is obvious. A player of his profile could bring movement, intelligence, and experience to an attack that desperately needs variety. Even a short-term arrangement could provide immediate impact during a critical phase of the season. With time ticking down, the sense of intrigue only grows. Rangers are clearly determined to add attacking reinforcements, and they are weighing their options carefully. Whether that means finally breaking the deadlock for Adair, pivoting fully towards Pirro, or exploring another late opportunity altogether, the message is clear that inaction is not an option. The squad needs help, the supporters expect movement, and the club understands the stakes. As the deadline approaches, every hour feels heavier, every update more significant, and the search for a striker has become the defining storyline of Rangers' winter window. As the window edges closer to its final moments, the tension around Ibrox is impossible to ignore, because this is one of those periods where every decision feels magnified. Rangers are not just shopping for numbers, they are searching for direction, balance, and a spark that can reignite a season that has drifted too often into frustration. The conversations happening behind closed doors are not casual. They are loaded with consequence, because everyone involved knows that getting this wrong could leave the squad short at a crucial stage, while getting it right could completely change the mood around the club. What stands out most is that Rangers are not standing still. There is a clear sense of urgency, but also a clear refusal to panic. That balance is difficult to strike in January, especially when supporters are desperate for action and every rumor spreads like wildfire. The club understand that bringing in a striker is not about ticking a box. It is about finding someone who fits the demands of Scottish football, the expectations of Rangers supporters, and the intensity of competing for trophies domestically while trying to restore credibility in Europe. That is not an easy brief, and it explains why negotiations are detailed and at times painfully slow. The Ryan Adair situation continues to loom large because it represents a calculated gamble. Rangers see potential, resale value, and long-term upside, while also believing he can contribute sooner rather than later. The revised offer shows flexibility and intent, but the repeated rejections have turned patience into irritation. From a footballing perspective, dragging this out benefits nobody. The player is caught in the middle, knowing that interest from a club of Rangers' stature does not come around often, while also trying to remain professional and focused where he is. These moments can shape careers, and uncertainty is rarely helpful for development. That is why the possibility of switching focus entirely is real rather than tactical posturing. Rangers cannot afford to wait endlessly, especially when alternatives exist. Joel Piro's name refuses to disappear from the conversation, and there is a reason for that. He represents a different type of opportunity, one built around availability, experience, and immediate readiness. While his minutes this season have been limited, his exposure to high-level football cannot be ignored. Training daily in that environment sharpens players in ways statistics alone do not capture, and Rangers believe that could translate quickly if he were given responsibility. The dynamics surrounding his club situation add intrigue rather than clarity. The overlapping interests at ownership level create a scenario that is rare in modern football, where alignment could either smooth negotiations or complicate them further, depending on priorities. Rangers supporters are understandably wary of assumptions, but they are also aware that such relationships can sometimes unlock deals that would otherwise stall. Whether that influence is ultimately used remains to be seen, but it sits in the background of every update and every report. From Piro's point of view, the decision is far from straightforward. Staying put offers prestige, patience, and the promise of opportunity if circumstances shift. Moving north offers immediate involvement, a passionate support, and the chance to be central rather than peripheral. Neither path is wrong, but both carry risk. For Rangers, the calculation is equally complex. They need impact now, but they also need players who buy into the project rather than viewing the club as a temporary stop. That balance between ambition and commitment is at the heart of every recruitment decision being made right now. Beyond individual names, this window says a lot about where Rangers are as a club, and there is an acceptance that mistakes were made earlier in the season, particularly in squad construction, and January is about correction rather than indulgence. Supporters want reassurance that lessons have been learned, that planning is sharper, and that recruitment is driven by football logic rather than reactionary pressure. Every move, or lack of one, is being judged through that lens, and the club know it. The urgency is heightened by the fixture list ahead. Domestic competitions demand consistency, and dropped points quickly turn into wider conversations about momentum and belief. Rangers cannot afford to limp through the second half of the season, relying on makeshift solutions in attack. Goals change games, goals change narratives, and goals change seasons. That is why the search for a striker feels less like a transfer story and more like a defining moment. Inside the dressing room, players are acutely aware of what is missing. They feel the pressure when dominance does not translate into goals, when control does not bring reward and when fine margins repeatedly go against them. Bringing in a forward is not just about finishing chances, it is about lifting confidence across the pitch. Defenders push higher, midfielders play with more freedom, and the entire team breathes easier when there is trust in what happens in the final third. As the hours continue to pass, speculation will intensify and names will continue to surface. Some will be noise, some will be genuine, and some will disappear as quickly as they arrived. Rangers are operating in that familiar January fog where secrecy is necessary, but silence breeds anxiety. What remains clear is that there is no complacency. The club are active, evaluating scenarios, weighing costs, and preparing contingencies. Whether the breakthrough comes via persistence with Adair, a decisive move for Pirro, or a late option that has barely been mentioned publicly, the objective remains the same. Rangers want to emerge from this window stronger, more balanced, and better equipped to attack the challenges ahead. Supporters may be tired of waiting, but they also understand that one well-judged signing can shift an entire season. And as the deadline draws ever closer, that possibility keeps hope alive, tension high, and every update charged with significance. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers around Ibrox have grown louder over the last few hours, and although nothing has been made official in black and white, the mood inside the club feels noticeably heavier. Sources close to the Rangers hierarchy are quietly admitting that a difficult decision has been taken, one that could see a key figure in the dressing room move on sooner rather than later. It is the kind of news supporters dread, not because it comes as a total surprise, but because it confirms fears that have lingered beneath the surface. The player in question is regarded internally as one of the pillars of the current squad, someone whose influence stretches far beyond 90 minutes on the pitch. In recent weeks, there have been subtle signs, guarded answers in interviews, a certain distance in body language, and an absence of the usual long-term assurances. While the club continues to speak about stability and ambition, those behind the scenes acknowledge that modern football rarely allows sentiment to stand in the way of reality. Financial pressures, long-term planning, and the player's own desire for a new challenge are all believed to be part of the equation. Rangers are said to be bracing themselves for offers that will be hard to ignore, especially with interest coming from outside Scotland. The direction has reportedly accepted that keeping an unhappy or uncertain player can sometimes cost more than letting go at the right moment. For the supporters, the possible departure feels like the end of a chapter. This is not just about losing quality, but about losing identity, leadership, and a familiar reference point in big moments. There is also a quiet concern about what message it sends at a time when expectations remain high and patience is thin. Officially, the club maintains a calm tone, insisting that nothing is decided until everything is decided. Unofficially, there is an understanding that farewells are part of football's cycle. Still, that does little to soften the sadness around Ibrox, where many already sense that an important figure may soon become part of Rangers' recent history rather than its immediate future. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned